Welcome back to the channel for something a bit different, at least for this channel. Anyone who's watched any of my other channels will know that I do this. So I'm waffling on, I'm panicking. It's the road to Requiem. It's the road to Requiem. This week sees the release of Requiem. Finally, I've got my pre-order in. I'm geared up. I've even got the day off on Friday to actually play through it and get some footage out on this channel. So if you haven't, subscribe if you haven't already. Jesus Christ! In this video, I'm going to be ranking all of the games that I've played, but also this is going to serve as a way to work out which games I still need to play, because I eventually want to play every single Resident Evil game. I'm also going to say, this is the second time I've done this. I just spent 40 minutes recording this and realised that I wasn't screen capturing the tier maker. Therefore, there was nothing for you to see what I was talking about. So yes, I'm going to try and keep this. This is going to be a much more condensed version. I'm just going to get straight into it. Starting out, 1996, Resident Evil OG, PlayStation 1. This game blew my mind when it came out. I was so obsessed with this game when it first came out. I was working at a hotel at the time. Really good job. One of the best jobs I've ever had, in fact. This isn't about me. But one of the other guys who worked there, he had a copy of this game. We ended up going back to his place after doing the night shift. We got stoned as hell and we played this, and I was absolutely mesmerised. I literally went out and bought a copy myself the very next day. This is actually future me remembering that I didn't mention anything about that first scene where you go around the corner and you encounter the zombie for the first time and it turns around and looks at you. How much that shat me up. How did I not remember to put that in there? I have remembered now, but I didn't remember it till later, which is what I'm putting in now. That's how much it traumatised me. I forgot about it till then. Jesus. And it still holds up. I played it again recently and I was very, very surprised at how much I still enjoyed it. The tank controls have obviously dated like hell. The graphics are nowhere near what they are today. It's a very sparse, it's very sparse. There's not a lot going on. You've got the pre-rendered backgrounds, but there's not a lot going on in the scenery. It's very, very sparse. Having said that, it's still got a fantastic atmosphere and it was still a lot of fun to play. And it is the OG. Having said that, I'm going to put it in B tier. I mean, obviously, if this was 20 years ago, if it was 20 years ago, there would only be so many games that we could put in there. And then, actually, having said that, Resident Evil 4 would have been out by now. So, whatever. I'm talking shite. It goes in B tier. It's still a good game. I was surprised at how well it held up. Next up, we've got Resident Evil 2, 1998. This would have been. Again, PlayStation 1. I was so hyped for the release of this game. Those of you who are my age, and I know there's quite a few of you, will remember that PlayStation Magazine, they used to put out a demo disc. And I remember getting the copy of Resident Evil demo disc. You could play it for 10 minutes. So it wasn't a 10-minute demo per se. You had 10 minutes to complete as much as you could. So each time I played it, I kind of got a little bit better and I was able to progress just a little bit further, as much as you could do with 10 minutes. Then, of course, you had the release of the game, 2 discs. You had the Leon and the Claire scenarios, A and B for both of them. What you did in one scenario would affect the other player. What the hell was that? I think my fridge just gave out. Anyway, that's the real horror. Resident Evil 2, original. This goes in A tier. It still holds up. This is another one I played recently and I had a real good time playing it. The tank controls obviously do date it somewhat. My God, I enjoyed playing this one a lot. 1999, again on PlayStation 1, Resident Evil 3 Nemesis. I adore this game. In fact, there's some days I'd actually put this above Resident Evil 2. I think the only reason it goes slightly behind it is because you've got the 2 scenarios with Resident Evil 2. But even in this one, you had the multiple choices that you could make, which added to the replayability. Was this the first game that had Mercenaries? I think it was. So it had those elements to it. Yeah, you had the replayability. There's so many great areas in this. The clock tower, of course, so many of us know about the clock tower, which is we'll get into that when we get into Resident Evil 3 Remake. Fantastic game, so much fun, and yeah, a worthy entry in A tier. Resident Evil Survivor. I don't have much to say about this. This one goes in D tier. This was very much like House of the Dead, a shoot 'em up a point and shoot sort of a game. And I never had the, I don't know if you could play it with a light gun or whatever. I never had that. I always had to do it with the controller. So it was just a bit cumbersome. It was just a bit boring. So nothing much else to say about that. Resident Evil Code Veronica. When did this come out? I did actually put this list up here. I think this only lists the actual main games. But 2000 for Resident Evil Code Veronica. I think this was supposed to be Resident Evil 4. And sorry, this was supposed to be Resident Evil 3. And then they realised that they were going to do it on a different system, and it became Resident Evil Code Veronica. Then we got Resident Evil 3 in its place while this was being developed, I believe. This is actually a really cool game. I would put it above Resident Evil, I think. I don't think I'd put it up as high as... Actually, no, do you know what? I'll put it in A tier. I think it's a really good game, having said that. I was playing this one again, or I started playing this one again recently, and I thought, no, you know what? I might as well save it for the channel. I'm playing through all the Resident Evil games on the channel, by the way. For those of you who are new, surprise, subscribe even. I suck. So Resident Evil Code Veronica. There's a lot of cool elements to this. This continues the story of Claire and Chris Redfield. And you play mainly as Claire, but you get parts of it where you're playing as Chris. Some really cool areas in this. Graphically, it's a little better than the first games. This one came out on PlayStation 2. I also bought the PlayStation 2 specifically for this game. There's a few games here that I actually specifically bought consoles for. So that shows the selling power of Resident Evil. It was a really cool game. Still very much in the horror side of things. There's some genuinely creepy areas in this. You got Nosferatu, the fight with him up on the tower with the sniper rifle. You got the ice area when you go over to the Antarctic. I can't remember where. I'm sure it's the Antarctic or the Arctic. I don't know. And just a genuinely enjoyable game. I'm really looking forward to replaying this one on the channel. For all of you who are new as well, I've played through a load of the remakes and stuff on the build. I've played from Resident Evil Remake onwards through all of the remakes and 7 and 8 at this point. I'm going to be going back to Resident Evil 0 and then playing through all of the original games again, including Code Veronica, Resident Evil 4, all the rest of them. So there's a lot to look forward to on this channel. I mean, if really is there. Code Veronica X, fantastic game. I think, by the way, one last thing, I think the difference between Code Veronica X and the original, I think there was like 10 minutes extra footage in terms of the actual cutscenes. I might be wrong. I think that's what the difference was. But fantastic game. Really enjoy it a lot. Very underrated game. As I said, I'm looking forward to replaying it on the channel. Resident Evil Gaiden. This was the... Resident Evil Gaiden. Yeah, it was the Game Boy Color version. I know they had one. Didn't they have one on the DS as well, or was that just a different port? This was actually kind of an enjoyable game. I mean, it is what it is. It's not, it's nothing special, but I would actually probably put it above Survivor. I'd put it in C, because it is actually, there's a quirkiness to it. It's not one that I'm going to return too much. I mean, I don't have a Game Boy Color anymore for a start, but it's kind of cool, because as you're playing it, there's certain recreations of scenarios that it's immediately like, oh yeah, this is Resident Evil. Anyway, whatever. It goes in C tier. I was spending way too long on that. Resident Evil Survivor 2. I never actually played this because I had so little interest in Survivor that when it came to the second one, I just didn't bother with it. So that's the first need to play. There's going to be quite a lot of them. Oh, I should mention as well, a lot of you might be thinking, well, why aren't you doing this ranking after Requiem comes out? Well, first of all, I want to work out what games I need to play. So if I do this in 6 months or so, then hopefully I'll have got to play through a load of these other games. And also, I like to let it sit. I don't want to do a review directly after playing the game. So I figured, we're on the build up to it. Might get some views. That's basically what it comes down to, isn't it? Resident Evil Remake. Let's not mess about. S tier. Straight in S tier. This is a remake done right. This was this set the standard for doing remakes. They nailed the atmosphere. The graphics they nailed it on this. Again, I bought a GameCube specifically for this. When did this come out? 2000, I think it was. Oh, I'll just move that. 2002. And Resident Evil 0, I think, came out the same year. I got these two games at the same time, and with the GameCube. Is what the sole reason I bought the GameCube. And yeah, they nailed it. The graphics were amazing. They got the atmosphere right. There were parts in if you'd played the original game, there were certain scares in there, like the dog jumping through the window. They don't do that on this. They fucked with you a little bit. There's certain parts where we're expecting certain things to happen, and they don't. They change things around a bit. Of course, you got the added areas. You got the added storyline of Lisa Trevor, the tragic Lisa Trevor. It's just a fantastic game. I played this. This was the first one I played on the channel for the Resident Evil games, and I enjoyed it as much playing it that time as I ever have done. It's just glorious. It is dating a little bit now, I will say that, but it's still a fantastic game. Resident Evil 0, similar graphically. I mean, it was the same engine, I'm guessing, that they used to develop it. It falls quite a bit, but I still think it is quite a good game. I'll put it above Resident Evil original, but it's not quite up in A tier. There's some cool elements in it. Rebecca Chambers isn't the most interesting. Billy, is it? I couldn't care less about. I always found him quite annoying. Got the leech monsters, and you've got the build up to the Spencer Mansion. There's some really cool bits. You've got the zapping system where you have to go between characters to complete areas, and like a lot of Resident Evil games, the ending of the game kind of just they always seem to end up in these areas that just start to get a little bit boring. So yeah, not a bad game at all. Very much looking forward to replaying this one. As I said, this will probably be the first one I play after completing Requiem, before going then back through all of the original games. But yeah, just falls a little bit. Still a good game. I'd still probably play this now more than I would the original Resident Evil. So a Resident Evil Dead Aim didn't bother with. Again, another one of that I'll say right now. A lot of the gun games, the shooting games, I didn't bother with. Resident Evil Outbreak. I bought this when it came out. This was come out on the PlayStation 2. It doesn't actually say. Well, I'm sure this one came out. I thought it came out before Resident Evil. No, maybe it didn't. Either way, anyway, I had this game and I didn't have the internet. So I did play it. You could kind of play it without the internet. You can kind of play it offline, but it's not how the game is supposed to be experienced. So I'm tempted to put this one in need to play and file 2. I did play them and I did kind of enjoy them. I thought they were cool, but I didn't experience it the way. So yeah, I'm going to put that in need to play, both of those, because I just don't feel I'm experienced enough to be able to actually rank them properly. How I'd experience that now, I don't know. I know there's emulators and I know there's people who played these online. I've seen quite a lot of the big Resident Evil channels going through them. Maybe that's a way I can do it in the future, but yeah, it's a shame. I really like the look of them, and I was just kind of disappointed I couldn't play them the way they were supposed to be played. Resident Evil 4, the original. I'm not going to muck about. That one goes straight to the top of S tier. Fantastic game. My favourite Resident Evil game. Spoilers. They just nailed it. It veered much more into the action side of things, which is going to have a big impact on a lot of these upcoming games, unfortunately, and the reason why I didn't play a lot of them. But they still had the horror elements. The village section is just so damn good. So many cool villains. The castle section is amazing. It dips again for the last bit for the island, but it's still such a cool game. It still stands up. I played it again recently. The controls took me a little bit of time to kind of adapt to again, but once I did, I had such a great time playing it. Graphically, it's definitely dated now, but it's still a cool game. It's one I really enjoy playing, and it's just an all-time classic. It's such a good game. Umbrella Chronicles, didn't play. Resident Evil 5. This is where I mean, I don't think this is going to be an uncommon thing. This is where I lost interest in the series for a very long time. So yes, through a lot of these games here, it's it's what it is. This goes even more into the action side of things. In Resident Evil 4, you didn't have zombies per se. You had the Las Plagas, but it still had a horror element to it. This one firmly goes into the action side of things. Shiva, her AI is notoriously bad. There are some cool elements in it though. There was actually a lot of the this actually I kind of had the reverse of a lot of the other games I found. I actually find the beginning of this game I actually kind of find more boring, and I actually kind of get more invested in it as it goes along. There's a lot of good elements, and I'm going to put it at the back of B tier. I don't think it's a terrible game at all. I don't think it's a terrible game, at all. But this is the one that I've got more sympathy for this than the next one, purely because this one still just hangs in there. I still got fondness for this one. I was disappointed when I first played it, but on subsequent replays, I've enjoyed it quite a lot, and I am looking forward to replaying this one on the channel as well. But it's definitely the start of, What's this one called? Is this the Darkside Chronicles? I think that one is. Didn't play it. Mercenaries 3D, didn't play. Revelations I never played. I've heard good things about Revelations, so I'm going to have to try that one out. I'm actually quite looking forward to trying that one out. Is that Umbrella Chronicles? Don't play that one. Resident Evil 6. So all of those ones there I just never bothered with because I completely lost interest. Like I said, the shooting ones never really interested me that much, and a lot of those are. Resident Evil 6, I bought this the day it came out. I've still got the Steelbook edition somewhere, actually. And this is the first Resident Evil. In fact, I think this is the only Resident Evil game that I've ever bought, started playing, and lost interest and didn't finish. I think I played this because I'm pretty sure you start out as Leon. I'm not sure. Maybe you can choose who you play, but I think there's 4 different campaigns, 4 different scenarios that you can play. Technically, this one also needs to go and need to play. I have played it, but I just completely lost interest in it. I know a lot of people have issues with this game. It's just not a Resident Evil game. This one really went straight into the action side of things. That was the main thing when I played it. It's like, maybe there are some cool parts to it, but you go into a Resident Evil game expecting a certain thing, and it just didn't have it. Revelations 2 didn't play, and Umbrella Corp I didn't play. Okay, this feels a bit embarrassing doing a ranking and have that many that I can't actually discuss, but it's the way it is. As I said, I need to play these on the channel. Now, we get to 2017 for the release of Resident Evil Biohazard, Resident Evil 7, so the first numbered game that we've had in quite a while by this point. And I remember seeing the initial footage for this game, and the demo stuff, and immediately you could tell it's like, oh, they're returning to horror, and boy did they. This is such a good game. I enjoyed it the first time I played it. I played it again, was it last week on the channel, and I had a great time playing it. The first 2/3 of this game are up there with some of the best in Resident Evil. The Baker family are just, Jack Baker in particular, they nailed that character. Very sympathetic villain that we find out later on. I am going to put this one in S tier, even though I do feel the last third of the game just dipped. The first 2/3 of the game are a joy to play. I don't know if a joy is quite the word, but when you initially encounter the molded, for example, they're such an intimidating enemy. It's like, oh my god, because you don't really have much ammo. But by the time you get to from the ship onwards, it's just kind of like the molded kind of cease to really be anything to be worried about. You know what I mean? So that's a real shame. But up until that point, it's a fantastic game. Right, 2000, where did we get to with these? I wasn't going through the release of those as well. 2012 was Resident Evil 6. 2019 for Resident Evil 2 Remake. And much like Resident Evil Remake, this was another one that was done right. They nailed this one. There are elements of it I don't enjoy so much. I've always hated the sewer sections, both in the remake and the original game. But there were so many things they got right. It's a gory game. It's the only playthrough I've put out on the channel that got age restricted immediately. All the other ones have passed for some reason, but the Resident Evil 2 the opening scene where you got the guy ripping the guy's throat out, and it's the zombie, should I say. I didn't mention anything about that fucking zombie scene in the original game. Jesus. Remember that first bit when how did I not do that? Once again, they nailed the atmosphere. They got the horror elements in this one right. The fact that you were descended in darkness for a lot of the game. You only had your flashlight. The zombies are bullet sponges in this game. You really have to choose whether you stand and fight or whether you just run. And of course, you've got Mr. X pursuing you, and it really does just add this this feeling of tension throughout. It's a fantastic game. I'm not going to put it above Resident Evil 4, but they again, like Remake, like the original Remake, they just nailed it. And of course, you've got the two different scenarios. The scenarios aren't Jesus. The scenarios aren't as good as the original, and there aren't enough differences, if you know what I mean. But it's still a cracking game. Resident Evil Resistance. This was kind of, I never really played that. Again, that's kind of another shooter. I can't remember if this was a DLC for Resident Evil 2 Remake or if it was a standalone game. I can't remember, but I remember seeing it. It just didn't interest me at all. Didn't bother me. Although it does actually look good enough to check out, to be fair. So I will get to this one without a shadow of a doubt. Resident Evil 3 Remake. This was such a disappointment. Now, I didn't play this when it first came out because I heard all the reviews. So many people were disappointed with this, and I just didn't bother with it. So I left it for a couple of years before I got it. And when I played it, I was actually pleasantly surprised because I was expecting to hate it. And I enjoyed it a lot more than I thought. However, I played it again recently for this channel, and so much of it frustrated me. I think I kind of, when I did the replay, I went back into it expecting to like it more than I did, and that was when I really saw the flaws. You are really playing this game on rails. It doesn't allow you any time to enjoy the game or explore the city. It just kind of pushes you on to the next area. There were a lot of cool elements in it, again, like Resident Evil 2. There were some really atmospheric parts in it. You plunged in darkness all the time. You're exploring with the flashlight and all this sort of stuff. But it just really, it was. There's a video that I'm going to be making soon. There's actually a bunch of modders who are putting together mods, funnily enough, to restore, to make Resident Evil 3 Remake into the game that it should have been. So they're adding new areas, expanding areas, adding in old mechanics to make it more like the old game. It's a really cool thing that they're doing. I'm going to be doing a full video on that soon. Very soon, actually. So yeah, keep an eye out for that. That'll be really interesting to try that out. But for the game itself, it goes above Resident Evil 5. Yeah, it was just a real disappointment. Do I put it above Resident Evil? I mean, to be honest with you, if I was still going to play a game now, I'd probably play Resident Evil 3 Remake over Resident Evil OG. But you got the legacy of that game. I might put it above Resident. That kind of seems like sacrilege in a way, but I'm just thinking of like what I'm, in the grand scheme of things, Resident Evil OG is obviously what started it all. But I'm just thinking of what I'm more like. Would I play Resident Evil 3? Why am I justifying it? That's where I'm putting it. So then we get to 2020 was Resident Evil 3 Remake. 2021 for Resident Evil Village. I've just played this one on the channel. I enjoy this one a lot. I think this is a cracking game. I really do. I'm actually tempted to put this in S tier as well. I think I'm going to put it at the back of S tier. I'm sure a lot of you will not agree with that, but I think it's a fantastic game. Lady Dimitrescu. Jesus Christ, what a villain. I think they originally developed the character not having any real idea how popular she was going to be. A lot of the people in the comments for that video, when I put it out, they were just saying how she should have been the main villain, and I totally agree. She should have been the main villain for that damn. So many good elements in it, though. A lot of people had issues with the fantastic elements. I kind of really enjoyed that. You had nods to vampires, werewolves, Dr. Frankenstein. I don't know if Moreau is supposed to be like the merman or, the creature from the Black Lagoon, that kind of vibe. It had a real kind of universal. I think somebody in the comments as well said it was based. The whole thing was based on a theme park ride or something like that, which I could totally get. But I really enjoy Village. I think it's a cracking game. I really, really enjoy it. I know a lot of you are going to have issues with that, but I don't care. RE Verse. I think this was that the. I don't think I ever played that. Jesus Christ. So what was this game then? I never played it. I never bothered with it. So it's another shooting one.
I won, but I don't think I got 3 kills.
Yeah, it's another one I didn't bother playing with. Maybe I'll get that one soon as well. Don't know if that was an add-on for RE3 or whatever, but yeah, that was another. In fact, I think I've got that. I think I do actually have that on my PS5, but I've never actually got around to playing it. And then we get to, was it 2023? Yes, for Resident Evil 4 Remake. This one goes in S tier. Let's talk about it a bit before we go, because does it beat the OG? I've already said that was my favourite game, so therefore it doesn't. This was another one that they absolutely nailed. They got they got everything right about this in the remake. One of the longest games in the series, and you had the Separate Ways DLC as well, which I played through as well recently on the channel. Subscribe. The village again was done so well. You had the action elements, you had the horror elements. The island just goes on a bit too much, unfortunately. I do, for some reason, I found the island to be more of a trudge to get through on the remake than in the original. So I'm going to put it behind Resident Evil 2 Remake. I still think it's a fantastic game. They got so many of the elements right. But I did lose interest with it towards the end. Actually, do you know what? I'm going to put it behind Resident Evil Remake. That looks about right to me. The OG Resident Evil 4 is just the best. I love that game. It's just so... They got everything right on it. You had the action and the horror elements. And it was just such a damn playable game. It's so cool. But there were certain parts of Resident Evil 4, again, they didn't have... Was it Salazar? Is that the little Spanish guy? I didn't like him in the remake as much, and there were certain areas that they left out, which were kind of these quirky areas. I can kind of see why they left them out. But there was so many, you know, the big, you know, whatever, when he's chasing him down there. You can tell I'm getting to the end of this. Like I said, I did record 40 minutes of this beforehand before realising that I'd completely fucked it up and had to start again. So cut me some slack. I am tired at this point. Resident Evil 4 Remake, I don't enjoy as much as the original game. The original game is just the tits. There you go. So that's my ranking for now. We will return to Requiem. So I'm thinking maybe in 6 months' time. Give me time to go through all those games. How much time I'm going to dedicate to some of these, I don't know. Because a lot of these shooting games, I don't know how much. I'll give them a go. Well, then again, I suppose if I try them and I lose interest in that informs me of where I'd put them in the ranking, doesn't it? So, but yeah, I think I'm going to return in about 6 months and do the ranking again. Maybe things will change by that point. Who knows? Maybe some of these other games will. They won't, though, will they? There's a reason I haven't bothered playing them. You know what I'm saying? But that's the main ones. I mean, in many ways, you can kind of disregard all of this and just, you know, that's the. I'm tired. I'll be back with my Bloodborne boss ranking in a couple of days. And then after that, we're on to Requiem. And if there is a final trailer, which I've heard rumoured there's going to be before the drop of the game, I will be doing a reaction to that because I haven't done any reactions to any of the trailers thus far. So there. Okay, people. Bye.